Gooners, football fans. In this Arsenal Aston Villa match review, both Blackbird George and I were of the same mind. Arsenal were brilliant against an Aston Villa team with some potential, some quality, but we dominated them in the first half in particular. George is literally gushing and has high hopes for the team. He's even forgiven Arteta for some of his misdeeds, if one may be polite and diplomatic. But we are both concerned about some of the legal and unfair tactics that Aston Villa used to stop our flow, and all with the consent of the referee who refused to punish them. Also, we commented on the bogus and fake player reviews that we see on certain popular websites. So check that out in our discussion. Last but by no means least, I have not given enough time to thanking a small but growing number of subscribers who make this podcast worthwhile. As always, subscribe, listen, comment, as George urges. Take care until we meet again. Football fans, Gooners, Blackburn George, welcome to another edition of the Positively Uncensored Arsenal podcast. And on this occasion, we are doing our Arsenal Aston Villa match review. I'm hardly awake, George, so I have to remind people, even though there's a banner running across the page. George, how you doing?
I'm fine and dandy.
I think we're both fine and dandy. 15 points. We have never seen such, 5 games undefeated. Never seen such bounteous harvest as my old minister would say years ago. At least the last time I saw this was the post-invincible year. Must make every Gooner happy, right, George?
No, it should.
Should. And George, you predicted in your blog and I think on this podcast, on the first one we did, that you thought we would win our first 5 games. You are a prophet. But when I saw Aston Villa yesterday, the way they played, I can see why you came to that conclusion. They were there for the taking, and we hammered them, especially in the first half. You give the audience your general impressions, George.
Yeah, well, I didn't predict we'd win 5 games on the bounce because I thought we were a super team. I predicted it because I thought the opposition was going to be poor. And it's turned out to be that way. We started with Crystal Palace, who were not prepared and were not ready. However, they did dominate us for probably an hour of that game, but we won. Mm-hmm. Leicester are in shocking form.
They haven't won a game. They haven't won a game.
No, they haven't won a game. So all 5 games, I mean, Fulham was it?
Bournemouth. Last time I said Bolton. I was going over the tape. I was like, I must have been drunk, but it was Bournemouth, George. Yeah.
So the prediction wasn't based on how good we were. It was how mediocre to poor the opposition was in the first 5 games. Mm-hmm. I've now revised that. I think we can win the first 8 games.
You really think so?
Yeah, I think we can beat United, depending on how we recover from this game and what injuries we have. Yes. Will Shevchenko be back? And will Odegaard be fit? But regardless, we've won 5 on the trot. and dis- despite the opposition being not so good, we've improved, and I was hugely impressed yesterday. I was cock a hook, really. I thought it was exciting football. We could have scored 5 or 6. We missed a lot of chances. Saka missed 2 that it was harder to keep out than score. So we should have won comfortably. And I was rejoicing, really, but I'd made the mistake of recording the City game
Mm-hmm.
because it was played at the same time. So after I'd finished feasting on Arsenal and reveling in our success, I put the City game on. I thought, fuck you now. That's what that's what you call a good team.
Good.
I mean, they're absolutely different gravy. They're going to win the league. If anybody gets within 15 points of them this season, I'll be surprised. But we can't compare ourselves to City. We have to compare ourselves to the rest. And I think we've got a chance of beating anybody else. I think we've got a real shout of being top 4, which I didn't imagine happening 12 months ago. So everything's fine and dandy. I'm converted now. I'm an Arteta sexual. I don't like him. I think he's made some terrible, horrendous mistakes. I think he's self-centered, egotistical. However, despite the mistakes, despite the bumps in the road, we are where we are, and he's got us here. And that team looks exciting. It's young. It can improve, and the team spirit is undeniably top rate. So whether I like him or not, I'm on board with him because I'm going to put the past behind me, the mistakes I feel he's made. I'm going to let that go because what's the point clinging on to it? I still think he's cost us 200, 300 million pounds.
Mm-hmm.
But regardless, we are where we are. And right now, things look good. And he's got us here. Whether he did it the right way or the wrong way doesn't really matter. It's the point where we're at now. And all we can do is move forward from this point. So I'm excited going forward for the rest of the season. I think we can fight with anybody. And I like our style of play. I struggled to see what our style was, but with bringing better players in, it's evident now what we're trying to do. I like everything. I don't like him, but I like everything about what he's done with the team and where the team is now.
You know, George, we try to be balanced here, try to be truthful, not to be cultists. People would say, I think people would say that we were Wenger cultists, and they might be right about that. But
well, they are right as far as I'm concerned.
yeah, well, it's up but
for me, he's the greatest manager I've ever seen. But we have to let him go as well.
Yes, and that's it. You know, we have to move forward. But George, I remember something you said last time, and that is that your player ratings, people rate you because of your when you win, it colors your rating. Isn't that a bit of what you're doing here today? That your rating of Arteta is colored by the fact that we won 5 games on a trot, and ask you that for the benefit, for us to get to
no, I don't think
the heart of the matter.
I don't think it is because I expected to win those games. It's not come as a revelation to me. And I'd be disappointed if we haven't. But I like the style. I like the spirit. I like that it's a young team, the togetherness, the resilience. I think there's weaknesses. I said last week that, and I thought last night, when it got to like 60, 70 minutes and we were only 1-0 up, I thought to myself, we've got a problem here because we'll be spent because we put that much into the first half, first 20, we're going to be spent, and it's going to be difficult to put our foot on the accelerator again if they managed to score. And they did manage to score. It was a horrendous goal to concede.
Mm-hmm.
But lo and behold, what did? We responded within a minute and a half, and I was proven wrong. We were able to step it up. And after that, we kept it up. We didn't look under any real threat. I thought, although it was a more even game than it was in the first half, I still think we were dominant. After this, managed to somehow ridiculously get back into the game. I mean, at 1-1, it was just a joke. We'd absolutely battered them. But we've seen that before. We've seen it in other games, and we've seen it with other teams. So, no, I don't agree. I think, like I say, I'm not saying I like him, and I'm not saying he's not made a lot of mistakes, but we are where we are, and just looking at the way the team is, the way it's together, the age profile, I'm happy to get on board with back. Well, it doesn't matter whether I back him or not, but I can see now that he has a plan, and it might be a plan that's cost £500 million to put into place, but
300 and something million. Oh no, in pounds.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't mean just transfers. Right. I mean, what we've lost, player sales and paying off wages and one thing and another, it's probably cost us about 500 million to put it into effect. But it's in effect. I mean, I still think he got lucky with Saliba. I think he was treated badly. I didn't think there was much chance of him staying. I think we sort of forced him to come back to the club and play. But he's playing well now, and if he extends, happy days.
Good enough, George. You're singing Arteta's praises, and as somebody who has been a critic, it's good to hear you recognize what he's done right. But I thought Aston Villa was really poor, and I want to suggest this to the audience. I thought they were really poor. Or we made them look bad. They have made so many unforced errors. Couldn't put a few passes together. This fella Buendia, who people are slobbering and jizzing over last year that he should come over to us or the year before. I'm not sure we really had an interest. I mean, he was shocking, especially in the first half. My concern is not better team. Is it that we forced these errors on them, pushed them back, especially in the first half? What are your thoughts on that?
I think it is. I think there's a bit of both. I think Aston Villa are a poor team at the moment, and they're struggling to beat anybody. And to come to the Emirates, it's going to be difficult for them. But they were very, very physical. I mean, the refereeing was shocking. I mean, fucking McGinn should have been booked about 6 times. It was a disgrace what they were getting away with. And what I liked is we didn't retaliate. We took it and got stuck in and carried on playing the game. There was no hint of bullying, crying, whinging. The attitude was unbelievable because they were fucking getting away with murder. They would have been, the team would have been entitled to be surrounding the referee every 2 minutes, crying. If it was me getting kicked like that, I would. I'd be going for my baseball bat, getting treatment like that. But I think any team, maybe with the exception of Manchester City, when we fly at them, as we have done at the beginning of matches, it's going to be difficult for any team. My worry is that, as I've said, if we don't win the game early on, it might be a struggle in the second half. But we're making all the teams look poor in the first 25, 30 minutes.
Definitely, George. I agree with you 100% on that. And that's what makes the failure to score the goals concerning. And evidently Saka had two goal guilt edge chances. One cross from, I think it was Martinelli to the back post, and he just skied it and was had an open goal. And to be honest, I know we like to. It's now, the thing to do is to boo Martinez, but Martinez kept them in the game.
He
Especially
made
that
some,
45th minute save from that shot from
yeah,
Martinelli. But right throughout the game, even the first goal that he allowed in, there was a deflection. He was wrong-footed, you know. And I looked at it a number of times. He kept them in the game very much so, and I thought that this was going to come back to haunt us
he did keep them in the game to an extent,
to an
but
extent.
he also should have kept the 2 goals out.
Mhm,
Poor goalkeeping from him
mhm.
for the 2 goals that went in, although he did keep others out. Ramsdale, I mean, he made a mistake as well. I
Yes.
mean, people can excuse it all you want, but maybe we should have had somebody at the front post. But maybe he should have told somebody to go at the front
Front
post
post, yes.
when he realised he was getting penned in like that.
Yeah.
But Martinez is a shithouse, though, isn't he? I think he seems fucking bitter. He's fucking crying. I mean, you got Jesus in a fucking headlock, then
Yes, yes, yes.
complain about it. He wants you kicking the bollocks, that cunt. Fucking
By the way,
Argentine.
George. I thought that whole Martinez putting Jesus in that headlock, that was reflective of a tactic. They came to that game to foul Jesus and to foul Odegaard. I know you mentioned McGinn should have gotten his card, but that seems to me, and I saw a little bit of that in the previous game. They know that we're going to try to find Jesus all the time, and they know that Odegaard is the guy who's running the midfield. But they came with a specific intent, and that was to target them and give them hard fouls. Did you notice that?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's up to the referees to put a stop to it.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been saying this for 20 years. There seems to be more leeway. I mean, did Jesus get fucking booked for a foul, for a bit of a shirt tug or something? But we
Yes, he
seem
got
to
a
get,
yellow. I have a note here about that, but that's not important. I mean, from the very first minute, George, within the first minute of the game, right on the right hand side, on our right hand side, they gave him a kicking, and I said, okay, that's a pattern. Keep going, George.
yeah, it was absolutely a tactic, you
Mhm.
know, not to play football, but to be physical.
And this is from the Lampard, this is from the old Liverpool school and that old era when you couldn't get close, when you can't beat Arsenal, get close to them and give them a kicking.
That's right, and it's been going on for years, but it's not working now. It's just not working. They're not having it. Uh, but they'll continue to do it, and every team will continue to do it, and until the referee puts a stop to it. And they can do it easily. Just dish a couple of cards out early on, like they do to us. Fucking hell. I mean, Jesus. I know it's sick of saying it, but imagine Xhaka putting some of those tackles in.
Oh, yeah.
He'd have been red carded, never mind yellow carded. So that refereeing was absolutely shocking last night. I mean, Saka was literally lifted off his feet and thrown on his back in the penalty box, and no.
Yes,
penalty.
that one was.
If that's not a penalty, there are no penalties.
Mings. It was Mings.
Yeah, his arm
Flung him to the ground. Yes.
Lifted him off his feet and threw him on his back. And they say, oh, there wasn't enough in that.
Yeah.
When you're fucking 15 stone and you're lifting a 10 and you're wrestling with a 10 stone fucking guy,
yes,
it might not look like much, but it's a lot. you can easily put. It's like me throwing a child on the floor. It's not fucking difficult. So and I mean that referee, I just can't get over it. I mean, it's
There's a guy called Jones. And then
yeah. I mean, we because we won, it sort of goes unnoticed. But
Mhm.
had we not won, we'd have had every right to report him to the fucking police for corruption.
Fat lot of good that will do, George. They penalize us. George, I think we have hit the main points. I know we can keep nattering about, but I'm going to go to the usual feature. But this time, guys, it is the went to SofaScore, and after the battering I got from you, Seebs and Ehab last game. No, I did. To be honest, I didn't have the time to do my own, player rating. So I'm going to give you a SofaScore because it's very reflective, George. And I know you saw this before. It's the let's go over it. They gave Martinelli man of
So
the match, 8.0 rating. Go ahead, George.
I
You want?
I can't discuss this. It's an absolute joke. That
Yes.
player.
Tell me what you know. But George, the reason why I did bring this up because this is very typical of the player ratings you have. You go to whoscore.com, all of these websites, they're pretty much the same. And I put it up because I'm weary of it. It and our fans fall for it.
Well,
Go
I
ahead,
just,
George.
I'll just point one thing out on that before I
Yes,
won't go into it all, but one thing.
yes.
Samuel Conga,
Point
7.2.
two, right?
Granit Xhaka, 6.8.
Could you
I mean,
imagine that, George?
I think Sammy had a fucking really good game. I was very
Yeah.
impressed. Some of his long balls, I thought he played really well. But he was carried through the game. Xhaka fucking nursed him through the game, keeping close to him, keeping directing him, fucking protecting him, and doing everything that a centre mid should do. And he gets a lower score than the guy he was carrying on his back for most of the game.
And the guy with
Don't
one
get me wrong,
clear.
I'm not criticising Lukongo,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
But he was helped to have a good game by Granit Xhaka.
But
And
not
and
only.
that's just an absolute joke. I mean, honestly, they must do these ratings before kickoff. They must.
But the problem with the George is that these guys, have this is a professional website. Well, I mean, I'm sure they sell some of their analytics to others, and it's just amazing. I, I was gonna try to, as usual, being rude as I try and interrupt you. I said Granit Xhaka had a clear assist, and several times he joined the attack and made, combined with Martinelli on the left hand side and created havoc in the Aston Villa box. And I mean, Sambi was far more conservative. You make a very good point there.
Yeah, I mean, Shambi had a good game, but like I say, he was carried, he was nursed through it by Granit Xhaka. Xhaka had a tremendous game.
Mm-hmm.
Man of the match for me by a margin. And I just don't, there's no point talking about bloody sofa. I mean, I think sofa score means somebody pissed up, having a fag, sat on the sofa doing the player ratings.
Well, you're telling me I need to go back to do my my unscientific job.
Yeah.
George, I'm going to remove it, and I'm going to, because you're absolutely right. Just to give but I'm giving people a sample of the kind of stuff. That's the kind of stuff that's why I do this podcast, George. Because I a lot of what we see in the media, and this is the so-called alternative media, you know, SofaScore, Who Scored, you know, it boils my blood because it misinforms fans. And yeah, I might not be, it might only be a handful of people listening to us, but I just have to express it. This is horrible. their thoughts.
Yeah, I agree. It's a fucking. Fans are spoon-fed shite and they fucking lap it up, don't they? I mean,
Mm.
it's pathetic the way the fucking game's going at the moment. All
Yeah.
this fucking terminology. I mean, that they latch onto. You'll see it now because Stephen Gerrard said something in his interview yesterday. The emergency zones.
What the fuck is that?
Yeah, exactly. What the fuck is that? But because he said it, bet your fucking life, fans will be saying it. I mean, inverted wingers and double pivots and fucking false nine. It's like you have to speak in fucking jargon now to pretend that you know what you're fucking talking about. And most of them don't know what they're fucking talking about. And but you have to live with it, don't you? I mean, it's the way it is, isn't it? People have access to the internet hasn't turned out to be a good thing for football.
Well, George,
Although it is in a way because it keeps us all interested. It gives us something to talk about. So, I suppose.
well, it's often said that there's with the internet, everybody thinks they're an expert, and with the old manager, everybody thinks they're an expert. But it's so much information. There's so much data and not enough information. That's the best way to put it. George, on to Manchester United. Let me just tell you that it's unlikely I'll see that game, but that doesn't matter. What are your thoughts on in anticipation of that game?
Well, like I say, it'll depend on how well we recover from today and the status of some of our players. Will Odegaard play?
Yes.
By
the way, George. By the way, I'm interrupting you. By the way, George, you talk about Odegaard. Well, first of all, he was suffering something because he just kicked the ball out and signaled to the bench, and then when they did focus the camera on him, he had a heavy wrapping around his ankle, so that is a concern. I'm sorry I missed the rest of what you said.
Heavy wrapping with ice.
Yes.
So it doesn't look good.
And by the way, George, when he came on, and they brought on ESR, and then he made a number of other defensive changes. George, I was concerned because I know you said that they didn't look like scoring, but we didn't look like scoring either. We just didn't, and I was concerned about that. I was like, we're not gonna get a third goal, and so said, so done. Your thoughts?
I don't see Emile Smith-Rowe as the number 10 myself. Other people don't see him as a wide forward. So where the fuck he's supposed to play, I don't know. But
he reminds me of Samir.
He certainly can't control midfield like Martin Odegaard does. He's more of a goal threat, maybe. But he's not more of a creative threat, and he's certainly not better in possession. So, what's happened to Fabio Vieira?
That was,
I thought he was supposed to be the answer when we couldn't play Odegaard. And we might have to play. What we're going to do if Odegaard can't play? Play Smith-Rowe there. I don't know. It'll be a problem if Martin Odegaard can't play on Sunday. We'll just have to hope for the best. But we shouldn't fear United. We really shouldn't.
Yeah, but they have an aura around them, and it goes without saying that the refs will favor them as well. And then, and they will, George. I'm absolutely sure. I've seen the last two games, and all the teams have now decided that they're going to target Jesus and Odegaard if he plays. It is becoming clearer to me, and I saw that yesterday. That was that was Gerrard's basic game plan. When all else fails, kick the two players.
The thing is now that there are two creative threats, really. So it's sort of easy for an opposition manager to say, stop them. There's only two of them. In the olden days, there would be 5 or 6. It's like imagine if you're playing Manchester City, you say, stop Kevin De Bruyne,
You're
put
right.
two players on him, and then you've got Gundogan, bloody Silva, Foden,
Yes.
all the
Running all
rest
over the
of them
place. Yeah.
running all over the place. You can't do it because they've got too many good players to
Mhm.
concentrate on one. Whereas we have two players, if they concentrate on stopping them, they'll probably have more success. So it's fairly easy. What we've got to do is uh, get the others that they can take advantage of doubling up on
Yes.
Odegaard and Jesus.
One last thing, George, before we wrap up. I think also that I saw you tweet this and you said this last time. Saka, I don't know if it was in our post little talk after the podcast, but Saka looks at least a mentally tired player. I'm concerned about that as well. Yesterday, as the game wore on, he's I don't know, George. I don't know if I'm seeing too much. I mean,
Yeah,
is he
yeah, yeah.
running out of ideas, or is it? I was like my concern.
For me, he hasn't played well for 18 months.
Mhm.
Uh, he hasn't played badly. Sometimes I thought he played quite well last night, apart from missing two absolute sitters. I
Yes,
thought he did all right with the ball and creatively. It wasn't for him. We certainly wouldn't have got the winning goal. Uh,
yes, yes, yes,
he,
yes.
he was massive in that. He saw Martinelli and picked him out. Uh, so
And by the way, George,
he didn't have a bad game, but his end product, it's not really there. But or is it? An
yes.
assist, that's end product, isn't it? So I
No, you got
think
to push those chances.
I think the fact that Martinelli's playing well, I think the fact that Odegaard's shouldering the burden of being the creative player uh, should, in the long term, help Saka because the pressure won't be on him. Uh, and people thinking he's the main man because he's not the main man. But there was a spell 18 months ago where he was the main man. So maybe he's got to get over that hurdle and just
Mhm.
start playing his game and not feel the pressure of having to produce because some players can and some players can't, and some players play better when they're just part of the team rather than the focus of the team.
I was
I
just,
wouldn't worry about him too much.
yeah, I'm not, well,
He's a good player.
on a very more positive note, that when he has the assist to Martinelli, was good, but what made it exceptional is the one-time shot by Martinelli. George, it was just boom. I thought that is what got Martinez off. He reacted late to the shot.
It's true. But like all goals like that,
Yeah,
you have to accept that 4 out of 5 of them aren't going in.
that's right.
It's not like Dennis Bergkamp picking his spot and curling it into the top corner, and
Yes,
he can do that 9 times out of 10.
yes.
Goals like that, you miss 4 out of 5.
Anyway,
And we'd already missed 4 or 5.
right, right.
But eventually one will go in, and that's what it is because nobody scores. And this was a problem I had with Arteta 18 months ago. We were making like 2 chances in a game,
Yes,
and he was expecting to score both those chances. If you want to score 2 goals, you've got to make 10 good chances.
right.
That's how football works, unless you've got Erling Haaland in your team.
George, we've nattered on quite a bit, and it's I think it's enough. Um,
Enough's enough.
yes, guys. Well, George, last time you urged people to make comments, and I, one commenter said it's good to see 4 OGs talk about football, which I suppose mean old guys. Well, it's 2 old guys today, but we still gotta invite you to make your comments, like and subscribe. Um, but help us. It's apparently Old guys are not supposed to say anything about football. They say wisdom is lost on youth. That's the best way I can put it. Any last
Well,
thoughts, George?
to be fair, these young lads would all absolutely leather me in a game of FIFA 22.
Well, I don't even go there. All right, George. Thanks. Again, guys, I, I don't. Pretty unlikely. I will do. I'll see the United game and be able to do a podcast. So, but until we meet again, thanks again, George.